actually start talking about it, I'd like to say that we as parents and educators need to take a step back and reflect on the past year. We also need to reflect on how, where the child is currently on its learning trajectory, what kind of an experiences our child was exposed to in the last year, whether the child was enrolled to an online learning intervention, or whether the child was doing some other program or was spending time with family and friends at home to acquire new skills. Be it any format the child was engaged with, it is a time we need to see, has the child progressed in the past year, and also how the new academic year looks like for our children. Uh, this is a time to see if there was a gap in the learning. Are we prepared to enroll our child to a structured learning intervention? Educators, and like I said, that we have successfully completed one first online year of academic year of online learning. We are in the process of consolidating our lessons learned from this online intervention, also from the joy of learning, which we have taken to the homes of over 4,000 children enrolled to this program. We are in the process of analyzing what worked well for us in the last year, what did not work well, how we can improvise this experience for our children in the upcoming academic year. So before I jump into the presentation and start talking about our experiences and lesson learned, I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Sonika Sharma. Sonika is the curriculum design lead at KLAY, and is looking after all the digital and non-digital formats of curriculum design. And as we go along in the presentation, I request Sonika to help us understand how we have integrated the play learning philosophy, the play-based learning philosophy, which we follow in our physical schools, how we have been successfully able to integrate with our live classrooms. So thank you, Sonika, for joining us.
Good evening, dear parents. And yes, my pleasure to be here to share my experiences and all of the insights that we have got in the past 1 year. Thanks once again, Arshleen.
Okay, so I'm going to stop my video sharing to have a better bandwidth, and then jump onto the presentation right away. Can you hear me better? Okay, one of the participants just messaged, so I just thought I'll check with you all. Okay, so I'm taking this opportunity to reflect on the past year of online learning. So Abhilash, if you could, thank you. I'll start with the month of March 2020. March 2020, when last year pandemic had hit our country, and schools were closed just out of the blue, and we were forced to a lockdown situation. That time, our curriculum experts, this creative team of designers and developers, we realized that, the next 2 months the child is going to be at home, and to support the continuity of learning, we need to do something. So we came up with the idea of recorded sessions with recaps from 2019 curriculum, so that we could engage the children at home during this time. And while we were hoping that by this beginning of the academic year, the schools will reopen, we will go back to our normal lives. But when the academic year started, uh, the situation did not change, and we realized that COVID is going to stay for long and it's going to be here. So what do we do about it? We did a lot of brainstorming internally, and we realized that if we really have to uh, integrate play-based learning and replicate our physical classrooms, we cannot live with recorded sessions. We need to have one format wherein children can interact with each other, wherein teachers can share their experiences and deliver a high quality curated digital content. That's how Learn at Home version 1 came into the picture. Then last couple of months, while this learning format was on, and month on we kept improvising it by introducing all the things which we actually do at our schools, like graduation, culmination, multiple events, fun Fridays. So we've kind of replicated everything on in the first version. And while we were preparing that things are getting better, probably we will be able to open our schools, the second wave came into the picture. With this second wave coming in, we realized that okay, we will have to continue the journey, the learning journey with our children through an online format only. And if we look back and introduce a better version of what we offered last year, how that version would look like. So, for this academic year, we have looked at the lessons learned in the past academic year and are coming up with a more robust, comprehensive solution which will suit to the learning needs of our children, as well as the information sharing needs which both the teacher and the parents have. So I'm going to expand a little more on the version 2 towards the end of the presentation. But if you see, that's how in the past 1 year our journey had been. And as the slide clearly says, necessity is the mother of invention. As and when the need arose, we kept improving ourselves. So I'll quickly run you through the top 10 learnings from the last year. Abhilash, if you can move on to the next slide. Thank you. So the first and the foremost learning we had from last year was about screen. Screen is considered to be a monster, but for us, it really worked well. And I'd say that not all screen time is bad, as long as this particular screen time is able to engage your child actively, and the child is able to achieve their learning milestones. So screen time is good as long as it is active in nature. And last year when we launched this product, we were skeptical whether we will be able to connect children online. Being children from different geographies, children may not know each other, and given the age our children are, uh, it's important that there is a face-to-face interaction. So whether we will be successful or not, but trust me, if you peep into any of our live classrooms, you'll say that we are more than successful because peers do connect even over the virtual medium. They just need some prodding and encouragement. And at the same time, had we been in our schools confined to certain geographies, we would not have been able to give expanded knowledge or new experiences to our child vis-a-vis what we have given through online medium. And our endeavor of replicating classroom activities to an online has proved to be effective. because there were certain learning outcomes which were laid out for our children, which we have been able to achieve through those activities and the kind of engagement we had during the classes through these activities. uh, Talking about one of the critical learning, which is about uh, online assessments, because usually people in the edtech world say that it's very difficult to assess someone objectively online. But we would say if the parameters are laid out properly, and if the curriculum is mapped with the learning outcomes, it is easy, or I'll not say it is easy, but it is possible to observe children with support from parents. And when I'm talking about parents here, I also would like to appreciate and highlight as well that the last year would not have been successful for us without parental intervention. Though the teachers are there to engage children, to ensure that the learning outcomes are achieved, but there is a lot of parental support which is needed. And hats off to all our parents. They have given us all that support, even though there were so many challenges we had to face. Then, most important for us, teachers are the backbone of the entire program. No matter how beautiful the content or curriculum is, but the way it has been delivered and the flavor a teacher brings into the class adds a lot of value. And for us, our teachers have been a conduit who actually kind of connected our children with the outside world. So, a learning for us is that the teachers are the strongest pillar if we really have to pull off any online version and even the offline version as well. Uh, then while I'm talking about virtual environment, I am nowhere saying that social interaction is not important. It definitely is an important element, and it is needed for overall social and emotional learning of a child. But given the context, this is been addressed by a virtual platform. And I see some of the responses from the parents around technical issues. So yes, I understand that we have given you tough time in the past year because of the technical issues. We are trying to fix those issues in the next year by bringing in more robust system. However, I still say that our learning is, no matter how much you try, technical issues are going to be a part of your life. And we may have to deal with it, because if when you're talking about say 4,000 children, 400 batches at one slot, there will be one batch, one odd batch, which may have some challenge. So yeah, I mean, and we all are working from home. We also realize, something or the other keeps happening. So yes, technical issues are part of life. No matter how much you try, they'll continue to happen. Then the most important learning I'd say we've gained from last year is, because we have been comparing children who have gone through structured online interventions and the children who have spent time with their family and friends or their parents at home, or maybe any other caregiver at home who have supported them in their learning, which is a good thing though. However, a structured learning intervention puts the child on a learning trajectory, a progressive learning path. So it's easier for us to achieve the learning outcomes when it is designed and laid out in a progressive manner. And that can be only done by experts in this field. Uh, Sometimes we feel that the age is so young, it's okay to spend time with a child at home, but I again reiterate the fact that what the value where the experts can bring into a child's learning through a structured program cannot be gained through an ad hoc intervention. So these are the top 10 learnings, and there is more we can talk about, but I thought these are the 10 top learnings I definitely want to start the session with. And and these have been the essence of our live classrooms. And now I request Sonika to help us understand where how we have gained these learnings. Give us an experience of the live class. What happens behind those screens in those virtual classes? So over to you, Sonika.
Thanks, Arshleen. Yes, good evening, parents. And as Arshleen rightly said, and most of us also are facing it this year, the pandemic year is a year of sorts. It is a year that we all had never thought we would see. But however, this was a year of great learning, a great year where we learned to adapt. We developed that important skill of learning to adapt and also come out of our comfort zones to test our own selves. So yes, when we were faced, when the curriculum team, especially the curriculum design and development team, was faced with this particular situation, we had to come up with a solution as to how do we continue the learning, or the essential development in the 5 learning areas in those crucial years. We all know, right, that the first 6 years are really important years in a child's life, and the development and their learning needs to continue the right way. So when we all sat, when we all were huddled up together to see what would be the best possible solution, we all were having one thought in mind. We were all on a consensus that the 3 pillars on which the EYM KLAY curriculum rests should remain unshaken. The pillar of hands-on activity, play-based learning, and the pillar of inquiry-based learning. We believe in active learning. It has to be activity-based. And when I say activities, those activities have to be play-based. Play is the serious business of a child. It is the holistic method of learning. We strongly believe in that. And active learning is deep learning. When children are allowed to explore materials, explore rich experiences, people, events, ideas, that kind of a learning is real learning. And the child is intrinsically motivated to learn as well. You don't have to force them. Versus the learning which most of us went through. In our learning, it was mostly through rote drills, worksheets. Uh, many of us didn't enjoy that. We were not intrinsically motivated to learn. So at KLAY, we strongly believe in that. And today, a year from the day we started, I can proudly say that we have been able to successfully give our little children an activity-rich platform. Many parents have also come back and they have been saying, you do so many activities that sometimes we also get tired, but the KLAY teacher never gets tired. She's always enthusiastic and always excited to do a lot more with the children. So we did incorporate a lot of play-based activities, one at a time, one step at a time. For example, we did little games like treasure hunts. Children really enjoyed them. When we were learning all about fruits, with the help of parents, the fruits were hidden in the immediate environment of the house, and the teacher would call out a fruit name and the child would go looking for them. And they had little tiny baskets in which they had to fill the fruits. And as they filled the fruits, they also developed an important understanding of weight, that as I keep filling, it gets heavier. When it's empty, it's light. So they were not just learning names of fruits or identifying fruits or experiencing its texture. They were also developing very essential pre-math skills as well. Little games like I Spy. Now, phonics at KLAY is not like, A for apple or apple. When children are developing phonemic awareness, they're encouraged to listen for that A in words around them. So they went on little I Spy games. I spy something in your environment that has the sound S, and you sit on it. Go touch it, sofa. So there were these kind of games that the children were involved in. They were actively engaged. So not always they were watching screen. That was another thing for us when we were developing the curriculum. that the children should not be on the screen. It should be mostly away, listening, doing, being actively engaged. And yes, today I can say we have been able to proudly achieve that. Another interesting thing, we provided experiences, experiential learning. When we were doing My Family, we had our Fun Fridays and we celebrated Grandparents' Day, and children introduced their ajis, their dadas, their nannies to all their friends, all their peers. And as they were doing that, children were understanding what is a family. A family constitutes of certain members, and a family is where there is bonding. There is that emotional connect. So there was this important social emotional learning that was happening. We pay a lot of attention to especially the physical, social, emotional learning of children. So every morning started with physical exercises. Now that children were indoor with very little, very little kind of exposure to outside to be able to go to the play area, it was important that they exercised physically as well, that they were developing their gross motor skills. So every morning we began with exercises for children. Little activities like library times were incorporated into the lesson to develop that love for reading. Children were asked to bring in their favorite storybooks, and as they silently sat and read in the classroom, the teacher observed and she encouraged the children to handle books properly. She taught them the right way of turning pages as they were involved in their library times. So there were a whole lot of events, a whole lot of celebrations that we did to ensure that it is activity-based learning. There is play, because we know that play covers all the areas of development. It is holistic in nature. And our Fun Fridays were for sure were a great hit. Children really looked forward to them. We had birthday celebrations for children once a month, and they really looked forward to the last Fridays of the month because they knew they'd be celebrating birthdays. So that was one thing that we did. Another advantage, Abhilash, we could move to the next slide, please. So, well, when we began, as I told you, I'm of the old school thought. And yes, screen time is not something that I propagate, but well, we had to move to that tool. And it did prove to be an enriching format by ensuring that children were actively engaged. They were moving around and not just watching the screen. There were certain advantages we saw. It brought the outdoors indoor for the children. We were able to do our field trips, our traditional field trips that, we would generally choose certain spaces that children could go to in the vicinity of the school. Now we were not restricted anymore. We could take our children on virtual tours. And most of the zoos around the world had opened up their doors for virtual tours. So we suggested during the home assignments, we suggested virtual tours to parents as well. And the last month, which was around March, our little KLAYs were like little globetrotters going around from one continent to another. They were visiting. So every Friday, they would look forward to where are we going to travel today. And it was facilitated. They went through the whole process of getting their passport stamped. We created all of that excitement around, visiting. There was a little video that showed that they were all off into their aeroplanes and they were all flying over the oceans, and they saw Australia from up above to see how the continent is shaped, how it is surrounded by water. And then they landed to see the major, the cityscapes over there. They experienced their cuisine when their friends brought, food from those countries. They shared during snack break. They spoke to each other. And also the children experienced the art. They saw the art, and then through this process, children developed an appreciation for different cultures, different art forms, and thus they developed the important value of tolerance for one another. They saw the beauty of being different and being tolerant to each other. So that's how online proved really enriching for us. We were able to, today I can say thanks to technology, we were able to do that. We could move over. So there's, in this little picture, you can also see that we did a sports day. We brought the sports day that we would generally do outside, we brought it indoors. And I would like to show you a little glimpse of the sports day activity that we were able to do. It's really sweet to see that how the children were doing their drills. So Abhilash, if you could just please play the video. Thank you, Abhilash. Thanks. So that was what a beautiful attempt by the teachers as well. And yes, we did have our parent races, and the parents also were involved in many of those activities as well. So we were able to also do the assessments online with support from parents. There were certain parameters for which we did take support from parents, and parents have been uploading the assignments, the videos that we had requested for. So thanks for that as well. And that's how we were able to do a complete 180-degree evaluation of our little children and give their report cards as well. So we can move ahead. So yes, parent intervention was key. As it is rightly said, that it is together that we can achieve. And in this beautiful, joyful learning of our children, the key partners have been the child, the parent, and the teachers. It wouldn't have been possible without that. So concept building in class was getting transferred home through various home assignments that were sent across. We did seek parent support for operating the technology. Parents were actively involved in the assessment process as well, and also in those little engagement activities that we did, and that formed a very important part of the curriculum, because it's important for a child to see their parents involved in the learning journey. A child who has parents who are involved, research has shown that their grades are much better. Those children develop a love for learning as well when they see the adults around also very actively involved. So we did provide opportunities throughout the year where parents could also come in, be a part of certain events like our art exhibition, Grandparents' Day, Sports Day. We did have those, and the children were very happy doing things besides their parents. We can move on. And the third partner. So the parents, the child, and the teachers, they were the real heroes. If you see, this is a picture from one of our African tours, the virtual tour to Africa, and the teachers have taken that little effort that they have made to ensure that that experience was enriching and fulfilling for the children. They took all of those little efforts for the little ones. They're really passionate about what they did. So yes, they had to adapt to the new technology. They were upskilled on the curriculum as well. They had to learn new teacher management techniques, because until now it was in class management where you could be there with the child. But now online, how do we manage the class? How do we bring the attention back? What all can we do? All of that upskilling was required. So they have really adapted so very well to the platform. Rather, they have been one big motivating factor that we could do many of these events. We could plan for them. As the development team, it was important that we understand that the teachers can take it forward, and they have always been very, very willing. They played a major role in bringing the outside world into the world of the children, into the homes of the children, because if it were not for them, this 1 year, the children would have just been getting experiences from within. But it was these teachers who made those lovely efforts. We've had teachers bringing in little caterpillars if they saw them in their gardens, to show it to the children, to provide that experience to the children. So little small things that the teachers did, it goes a long way in helping the children stay connected with the outside world during these times. And our third partner, which was the children, they did a commendable job of adapting to the new way. And how they did that, what were the signs that we saw? I would like to ask Arshleen to come over and share with us those little signs that we saw. And we understood that the children are also adapting really fast and really well. When children do, they are the most adaptable. They are at that age that they can be molded. So they did very well on that. So over to Arshleen, if you could share your insights.
So much, Sonika, and I totally agree with what you have said, that it's a partnership. It was a partnership between three partners: parents, children, and teacher. Without the collaboration and coordination all these three partners have demonstrated throughout this year, we would not have been able to pull this off. So thank you so much to all of you. Now the question arises, I mean, we've been talking about what we did in behind the scenes and how we came up with those activities or curated the curriculum. But the important question to answer at this point in time is, did the children gain anything out of it? We've spent almost 1 year with almost 4,000 children. And I think for me, it is safe to say that virtual did well and did work well for our children. We did manage to achieve some of the major milestones which we would have tried to achieve in a physical classroom. And this is all out of observations we have been doing throughout the year. We have seen our children connecting with each other. They have, over a period of time, developed those core life skills like a discipline, like empathy, listening, appreciating each other, focus, and most important is the entire intervention had helped them to get into a regular routine. We've seen our children being vocal about expressing themselves. That clearly indicates that they have built up confidence over a period of time. They love to showcase their work. They have been diligent in finishing off their home assignments, and then, very excited, very curious to share it with their friends, showcase their work to their friends, and obviously get very happy once they receive some trophies and rewards from their teachers. Uh, Also, at the same time, uh, engagement and motivation which has happened in the class, and thank you to all the teachers, this motivated our learners to come back to the class every day. So the discipline was there. And there, when we started last year, we were not sure that whether the retention of the concepts will be there or not, or whether the children will be able to practice this at home. But we are surprised and glad that we have seen retention of concepts as well as transfer of learning in the real world. And thanks to the parents for that. And the most beautiful part of it, we've seen children missing their teachers and their friends during holidays. So I'd say that yes, virtual platform cannot replicate the real life experience, but given the context and situation we are in, I think we have been able to do a justice in terms of facilitating our children to achieve those learning outcomes to a greater extent. Uh, uh, Abhilash, if you could move on to the next slide, please. Great. So we started off with screen time, and I'm going to summarize our learnings by reiterating the screen time, reiterating the points around screen time again. Uh, Screen time is not a monster as long as it is staggered in nature and we are giving a staggered exposure to a child. And Sonika has already explained that the way we have structured a curriculum, uh, there is no passive screen time which happens during our classes. We start with warm-up activities, followed by water breaks, followed by concept building sessions, hands-on activities. There's a lot and a lot of interaction happens during these classes. There's a lot of discovery learning, experiential learning, inquiry-based learning happens during these classes over a period of 2 hours. So the program is designed in such a manner that the child is not uh, uh, engaged on a passive screen time. Most of the time, the child is doing something or the other along with the breaks. So this kind of a screen time is helping your child to achieve those development milestones which a child would have achieved in a school. I think it's not bad. So, and I'm re-emphasizing, and it is for the parents who probably have not enrolled their children to any of the learning intervention, considering that they don't want to expose their children to screens. My request to all of you parents is it's okay to give this kind of an exposure to your child because it's helping your child not only to develop or gain on the knowledge, but also this is the kind of an opportunity wherein the child is able to interact with peers and make friends. It helps in social and emotional learning and skill development also. So please do keep that in mind. And this recommendation is only for children, children from age group from 2 onwards. No screen time is recommended for children below 2 years of age. Abhilash, can you move on to the next slide, please? Quickly, I'll wrap up these points. Out of our learning, like I mentioned, we cannot replace face-to-face social interaction. And I will also recommend and urge you all to create a social bubble for them in the community. If the community in your community you feel it is safe and there are children of your child's age group, you would want them to play with those children as, and also if you want to set up a learning social bubble for them, that is also a good opportunity and good way to inculcate life skills and help in achieving the overall learning milestones. Technical issues, though we are moving on to another robust platform, but day in and day out, like technology has become a part of our lives, these issues are also a part of our life. They will keep coming to no matter how much we try. So I think we may have to accept it and move on with it. And most important, the structured learning element. Our children of this age group a lot. Structured learning intervention vis-a-vis doing an ad hoc one, because it gives kind of an experience to a child. The child is able to make numerous connections with the outside world and is able to achieve those learning milestones. So a structured learning intervention is always better than any other ad hoc intervention. And in the next slide, we since we started off how we're going to prepare your child, or what we need to do to prepare our child for the new academic year. And this slide is primarily focused for the parents either are yet to start the learning journey of their children. They might have turned two, or probably for the parents who have not enrolled their children to any of the learning intervention last year. So we have been on and off talking about it in on various forums, and I'm again going to reiterate this, that the first 2000 days of a child's life, and there's enough of research around it, the first 2000 days of a child's life are very critical for not only the brain development but the overall physical and emotional and cognitive development of a child. During this time, the child needs to be exposed to various experiences, needs to get exposed to the outside world, needs to create or make emotional bonds with people or members beyond family. But if you look at today's context, in the last 300 days, if your child has missed school or has not been in touch or enrolled to any program, the child has missed that opportunity to learn and get exposed to the outside world. And 300 days would mean probably 15% of their life, which, the critical time we have already lost. So how do we make up to this time, loss of time? The first and the foremost is decide today that you need to enroll your child to some program, some formal learning intervention, which can help your child to develop and achieve their learning milestones. Also, uh, there is some time left in between the start of the new academic year. If your child is going to get introduced to a learning environment, and here my focus is more on virtual environment, then you may want to enroll your child to a school readiness kind of a program, which helps your child to get accustomed with the digital platform and helps your child in moving from a home environment to a learning environment, because the child has not experienced any of this. He may face some settling issues. And the school readiness program will help the child to get into a routine, which is very important for this age. Children of this age love and thrive on routines. They don't like surprises. And in the past year, if your child has been following erratic schedules of nap times, meal times, I think this is a time you may want to look back and see what behaviors need to be changed in this 1 month. Uh, because it is essential to bring them back to the learning trajectory, and erratic schedules will not add value to it. So we still have time to look into it and start working on those areas. And then talk to your child. It is very important to help a child understand why learning is important, why the child needs to get enrolled to a program. Also, children who have never been to school, for them the school is they visualize school always in a form of a physical entity, but for them attending classes on a virtual platform is altogether a new experience, which they never have seen their probably siblings or anyone in the family doing that. So you may have to make them familiar that this is how the change is going to happen. This is how your new school will look like, your classes will look like, your friends will look like. Encourage them to make friends. no, and beyond the classrooms as well, because this helps in building up their some social and emotional skills. So I'd like to summarize the slide by 3 R's which we should be following if the child has not been enrolled to any program in the past year. First is routine, get the child into a routine. Second is reinforcement. It's a behavioral change you are expecting your child to go through. We all resist change. So you may have to reinforce, keep reiterating that why we have to get into a routine, why this is important, why no screen time or less screen time, and things like that. Reward. The third R is very, very important. When you see those changes happening in your child, reward your child with the things the child likes to do. Just a word of caution, don't connect it with that extra 10-minute time of screen time for a favorite TV show, because this will lead to a negative motivation and our purpose will not be solved. So these are the couple of things I'd recommend all of you to start doing with your children if the children is going to get introduced to formal learning or has not done any formal learning. And continuity is the key here. Even if the child was enrolled to any program last year, please make up your mind to enroll your child this year as well, because continuity is really important with this age. It becomes very difficult to align the child back to a different routine if there is a gap in that routine. I'm sure we all understand this. So my urge, my request, and a recommendation here to all the parents is that even though though the second surge is not giving us any hopes, but even if we feel that this age group may not require a formal intervention, I'd request you to move away from that thought, because formal intervention and formal learning is important for this age group as well. Yeah. Abhilash, if you can move to the next slide. Now I'd like to talk about the product or the new version of Learn at Home. How the new version will look like. Like I mentioned that we have worked on the challenges we have faced last year. So we are moving away from the old platform and we are introducing a new gamified platform which makes learning fun for our children. Uh, Based upon the philosophy of play-based learning, we felt that if we need to engage our children more, it's good to introduce some digital gamified features as well, which will augment the learning for our children. So that was the basic thought around introducing this platform. Another area we focused on was streamlining the processes which the parents faced last time. So this is a comprehensive platform which has a functionality of uploading the assignments, downloading the assignments, sharing information with the teachers. The teachers can share the information with the parents as and when needed. You will get the session readiness material also on same platform. You will get an access to the report cards. You will get an access to the certificates, anything and everything on one platform. And we are gradually trying to do away with the emails. So as we launch in the month of June and as we go along in the journey, eventually we will move away from all the email communications. So all the communication between the parents and the teachers would happen through this platform, and this will solve for a lot of challenges which we all faced last year. And the promise is we will bring in the same curriculum, rather a better version of curriculum. We will bring in our trained KLAY teachers, maybe not the same teachers whom you have seen, because the children are now promoting to the next classes. But all the teachers are trained in a similar manner and they bring in their own flavors to the classroom. So I'd say that the experience will be same or probably better than the last one. And we promise more days of fun and engagement, because we are looking at introducing a 5-day intervention. So instead of 4 days in a week, we will have 5 continuous day of learning with lesser time. So it will be like 1 hour for toddlers in pre-K and 1.5 hours for K1 and K1, and spread across all the 5 days in a week, followed by your homework and assignments over the weekend. So this is how the program looks like for us. Now I open the platform for question and answers. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and between me and Monica, we'd like to address. And if we have not been addressed, we will, okay. Here, uh, okay.
I see a question by
Sorry, Sonika. So there is a quote from one of the parents that is enrolled to school, which will get 15th of June. So after 15th of June, your child will get enrolled to the program, the age appropriate program. So I'm not too sure for which program your child is going through school readiness. So given the age group, if she is a pre-K child, she will get enrolled to a pre-K program after 15th of June. There is a question about, do parents need to sit and assess the child during the online class? It purely depends on the age group. If we are talking about toddlers, if you're talking about pre-K, they may require some support from you in terms of maneuvering the platform. I think from K1 and K2 onwards, the children are pretty independent. You just need to tell them once, and they will be able to take it forward from there. Okay, which question? When did the audio got dropped? Okay, I'll just repeat. Do you want me to repeat? Do parents need to sit and assist? Okay. So how many classes a week will be there in new academic year? We are talking about 5 days in a week. And the time slots remain the same, just that the post-lunch slot will move from 3:30 to 4 p.m. Otherwise, the time slots will remain the same, and the classes will be conducted 5 days a week from Monday to Friday. Yes, for senior toddler, it's 1 hour. For pre-K, it's going to be 1 hour. For K1 and K2, we are moving from 2 hours to 1.5 hours every day. Thank you for highlighting us. Thank you for, I think it's from Sneha. So thanks, Sneha, for highlighting it. We will get this updated on our website, because this is something which we are already working on. But yes, the timings for the classes are going to change. And the parent-teacher meeting for this academic year is going to happen next week. And for next year, we will share the calendar well in advance.
However, if I may add to the PTCs,
Yes,
we will
please.
continue to have the PTCs as per the same format that we have been following all these years. There'll be 3 PTCs in a year after frequency of every 13 to 14 weeks of the curriculum. Thanks, Arshleen.
No worries. So, there is a question which has come up that my kids would have attended LKG last year, but their school did not arrange any online classes. So, which program would you recommend for them, LKG or UKG? To be very honest, I would recommend LKG because the child has not gone through any learning intervention. There is a uh, uh, lot of skills which the child has missed upon, the concepts the child has missed upon. So if we promote or transition the child directly to UKG without being going through any intervention in the past year, your child will struggle in UKG. He'll not be able to match with the other children in the class. So our recommendation is, if the child has not gone through any program last year, please enroll your child to the program which the child would have done, even if it means repeating that class. Weekend, how many classes a week? For weekend, we are continuing with the same format. We are doing 3 days a week, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yes, we are going to provide the certificate to our children who have been enrolled to the whole academic year. And it's not only certificate, it's a complete card which talks about development milestones a child has achieved. The eligibility criteria for getting that report card is continuity in the classes, and just because of the reason, because if your child has not attended 22 classes in a term, it is very difficult for any teacher to observe and evaluate on the milestones. So if your child has been continuously attending the classes, because for us continuity is the key, the child will be given a comprehensive report card which will get accepted in any of the main schools. So that is not a challenge.
There's a question.
Yes,
Sorry.
Sonika.
There's a question on the next academic year start date. That would be June 1st that we are starting on.
Yes. I think we have covered mostly all the questions. There's one question I saw, Sonika, which we probably would like to look at before we sign off. It's an important question to address. Will the curriculum delivery format change, and how is the curriculum planned for next year?
So while I said the core of our curriculum, the core 4 pillars do remain the same. The format also is the same. It's just that some of the activities may change. Otherwise, the objectives that need to be achieved, the goals that we have set out for the children, the milestones, they will all be covered with a variety of activities. So it would remain the same, more or less. The tool, the platform is what would change.
Great. So that helps. I think one question, it has come in a various formats. I'll quickly just respond to that. So there are many questions pertaining to admissions, whom do they need to contact, and how where to get the report card from. All of this, you can get in touch with your center directors, and they will be able to help you with all the details for the next academic year. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to write into us. And if there are any questions which we have left answering, because it's already 5, so we'll definitely respond back and share those responses with you on a different format, either through email or somebody will reach out to you. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Sonika, for joining us. I believe that we have been able to cover all the doubts you had regarding the academic year, how it looks like for your child with KLAY. And even if and my again, before we sign off, my request to the parents who are considering enrolling their children, please make up your mind, because it is essential for our children to go through some format of formal learning during this time. Uh, Otherwise, children will struggle, children will face difficulties if we will miss on this time as well. This next academic year is critical, crucial for overall development of our children. So, with that note, I thank you so much, and please take care, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll be in touch soon. Bye.
Bye.